Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Welcome to another Album Review Saturday show, episode 15. This is basically an extension of the article section, which has 3 albums. And then, of course, because you're on video, we give you 3 more. Is it because I love music? Yes. The 2 panelists that are joining me today, they were held at gunpoint to do the following 3 after that, I'm sure. Anyway, the add-ons, I'll let you know. You can fast forward. I'll be offended, but that's okay. Obviously, we've got Dam on the program again. She's become the regular. And then the
Hello.
Grateful Dead chimed in because, well, there's some special guests on this particular album series that tickled his memory because the rest of us weren't even born yet. No, that's not true, I guess. But
I think I was.
Maybe.
I think I was.
Barely.
so if you want to become a regular, by God, you got to click that subscribe button. If you don't, well, it's not like you're missing out, but damn it, we're trying to get to 100 subscribers so we can call it a quits then and never get monetized and leave it at that. But if you are a regular, well, we won't disappoint. This will be a fun little show here on these 6 records. Why don't we start it off? We've got Jane Weaver, Love in Constant Spectacle, kind of a unique title. Didn't know Jane from any Weaver. Canned Heat, Final Vinyl. Not only is this their final record, they're so hopped up on blues and drugs, they don't even remember how to spell final. And Mark Knopfler, what can you say? One Deep River, and then we'll go into the other 3, which we won't mention yet. Hopefully you'll stick around. Jane Weaver. When you first hear Weaver's sound, you have this feeling that you're into some, I don't know, youngish lo-fi persona. When in actuality, if you investigated this woman in the multiverse of music, she's rather my age, which you can guess. So she's been
33.
around doing this quite some time. She was in a band called Kill Laura, and I'm sure everyone heard of that. And she was also in another band that was, come on, Mark, what's it called? Misty Dawn. All right. I actually know a Misty Dawn.
Is it a stripper?
She works for a company called.
I'm sorry.
The album was called Iced to Mode in 2003, but it never saw the light of day because the musician that was with her disappeared and was never found again, like this record. So
For real?
on an interesting story, there you go. I didn't go and pontificate further because this is only a 30-minute, 45-minute, 1 hour, 35-minute show,
Okay.
depending on how we go. So anyway, where's Jane Weaver? Well, Jane Weaver says, I'm too good a multi-instrumentalist to not continue doing what I love to do. So she's been basically a solo artist since then. And she's had multiple albums. I haven't heard of one of them that I remembered. So this album was a nice start to go down that rabbit hole. So think of this as folk electronica with tinges of pop and alt to it. I believe this record, and I listened to a few other ones, has a little bit more going on than some of the prior, but I didn't hear all the prior records. This is definitely immersed in the electronica, but folk and her delivery is the lead here. She does tend to amp it up where she needs to and whatnot, but the score in the electronica creepiness, the wisping, the angles that she utilizes, is fairly well done. However, because you're struggling to categorize this, if you're a music listener, the first listen is no good. That's my opinion. The second listen helped me tremendously because I started to stop going, how do you categorize it? How do you talk about it? The
Yeah.
hell with that. Just listen, right?
Yes.
So in that idea of just listening, I'm going to just listen to Deb.
Well, I read a little bit about her after I listened the first time. I guess she has collaborated on some famous albums. Coldplay, I think, was one of the bands that she did some backup with. And didn't we do a review on an album by Elbow?
Yes.
I think she sang on one of their albums. I couldn't really find much more out about her to give my little 2 cents of trivia, whether it be right or wrong. Um, but I enjoyed it. It was it wasn't showy. Like a lot of times electronica is showy and just in your face and boom, it was very, the songs changed in mood. I felt, and yes, you couldn't figure out what genre she's really going for. So you, like you said, stop trying to put it into a pigeonhole. I liked it. I listened to it 3 times.
Good.
I really thought it was going to be one of the last 3 albums, so I didn't do as much of the song by song type of delving into and looking at the names of the songs and such. But yeah, I've never heard of her either. That's not unusual for me though. But good. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't know this multi-instrumentalist, singer, songwriter, and record label owner,
Hmm.
okay,
Yes.
in fact, it might be where you need to start. And no, she's not Parisian. She's British. And on this record is John Parrish. John Parrish is very well known for PJ Harvey. So if you
Hmm.
like PJ Harvey, this
Hmm.
and you were disappointed in records past or now or whatever, this has that angle too. However, not the oddity of Harvey.
Don't try to be the light, see the light. Stand from afar like the boy you are and admire the bright star. I didn't look, it was heading our way.
In fact, more capable in this is a glorious shifting sound career, gobbled up by like droning concepts that plague other records. It doesn't. She's utilizing like hints of Hoover Phonic and even Portishead
Yeah.
in some guise. And I love it, right? But here's the real truth, right? I'm gonna assume that maybe her sound was gobbled up by the ears of somebody named Taylor Swift, because albums like Evermore
Hmm.
and blah 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 under Ocean Boulevard by some other person won't happen without the folk independency of people like Jane Weaver, who sign mostly women in the folk independent electronica realm. So if you're looking for it, I think trying to find out what the label was called. Bird something, maybe Bird
Yeah,
Records.
and I should have written it down because doesn't her husband have a label that she was part of and then she broke away and started
Yeah,
her own label or
yeah.
something like that. But
Yeah.
I don't know the
It's
name.
funny too because her beginning too, that producer that was under that first Kill Laura record, which has nothing to do with any of this kind of, was New Order. He
Ah,
did one of the New Order records. So,
okay.
you
Okay.
get around, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, so Weaver's got John Parrish on here, and this is a pretty good album that'll work its way into you quite a bit, I think, in
Yeah.
over and play. And she has a fairly lengthy catalog, so you can explore. Reason I also said is she Parisian is because I think one of the albums looks French. It has all the accent aigu and grave and whatever hat. Well, anyway, so color me intrigued when ghosts come out to socialize. Um, Canned Heat, right? This band from 1965 that hardly even wrote any of their own music and didn't
Right.
need to, because the idea of them was to really explore and showcase and bring old blues to the masses. And
Mhm.
considering we're almost 60 years in, they must have brought it to every freaking soul on the planet, because they're still doing this today. Although the only surviving member, and this is an oddity in my opinion, is
He's a
the
drummer.
drummer.
He's a drummer.
Yeah,
I know. He didn't get a
isn't the drummer
spontaneous
straight
combust
first?
or
I mean,
anything.
he's been doing all the work, but
Yeah, but
no, he's
he was smart. He got the rights, and that's the most important. He owns the name. When you own the name, you own
yeah.
everything.
I think because it sounds like an Italian name to me, of that name. Maybe he's just well You know, all the bread and wine has kept him going, right? Adolfo de la Parra, right? Wow. It sounds like he should be in a progressive rock band in Italy.
Yeah.
But, I'm gonna step back, although I want to say one thing. I don't think they've had an album out since like Friends in the Can. And by the way, I'll
Long
take my
time.
Coca-Cola,
Long,
not in
long
the can. I
time.
don't want it in the bathroom. So, Grateful Dude, you are the most scholared of us on the canned heat.
Yes.
Give us your impression of Final Vinyl.
Well, it's canned heat. Okay, they haven't changed. It's like they just had time warp, and they went back to '65. I've seen the band twice, both in Los Angeles, where they formed. They're Southern rock, Southern blues. Okay, they are the predecessors to a lot of the Allman Brothers. Stole a lot of stuff from them. Did they write in their songs? Nope, they really didn't. They just wanted to jam. They're a jam band. You know, that's how they started in Atlanta. They played all the little clubs, and some producers said, "Hey, I like them," and they signed them to a record. They did so many concerts, small ones. It's ridiculous because that's how they made their money. You know, did their records sell a lot? No, they really didn't. They It was started by Alan Wilson and Bob Haidt, they were complete blues fanatics, and that's how this band started, with those two guys. They did Woodstock and the Monterey Jazz Festival, and that launched their career. What's his name? Harvey Mandel, which came to be their lead guitarist, really boosted what they could do. As for this new album, it should become Same Old Vinyl, not Final Vinyl, because
Oh yeah, I didn't know. I was so afraid to like interject. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, but they're great. I mean, I would listen to this album all the time, but it's just like bringing out any of their albums. It all pretty much sounds the same. Is that a bad thing? No, not in this case. If you're a listener to classic blues or Southern blues, you know, you can turn this on and jam all freaking day. You know, all you need is a beer and a big, you know, and
Happy
you're ready to go. One toke over the line, baby. So,
isn't that a song they didn't write?
Yeah.
Another one.
What about what about you, Deb? How does Canned Heat Final Vinyl?
Well, here's my trivia. Do you know how they got their name? It'll be familiar to you, I'm sure, when I say. From Tommy Johnson's 1928 Canned Heat Blues, that was about an alcohol trying to drink the Sterno that actually was in the 1914 invented product called Canned Heat, which was Sterno. So that's a really that's a blues song for you. You don't have any other, you can't even get moonshine down there, that you got to drink Sterno. But I thought that was interesting. And I'm glad that Jeff kind of said what he said, because I agree. I would say, honestly, I could see the same kind of and hear the same kind of music. I could go to GFY Biker Bar in Tonawanda and have blues, you know, a local band that does a lot of blues sound just as good, as far as I'm concerned. The one song that I really did like, though, I liked East West Boogie. Because it kind of brought in what everybody, even though this was written now, and it kind of brought in that thing that the Beatles were trying to do, and bringing in that Mid-Eastern vibe and the way that, just sounded more international, I guess. So that's my take. I just
Okay.
like their
So,
name.
Okay, I got a
so
few more.
yeah, so more on this kind of thing later, because
Mhm.
same isn't always doing something different isn't always better. You can do the same thing and do it just as well, and continuously add to your catalog and the longevity of it. And there might be an example of this, or and this is the final album, apparently. Well, there
Maybe.
it's
It
I think he's
says,
he's 106, he's 119. You know,
Hey,
I
there's always room for one more.
I know.
well, yes, yes. Well, let's hope not, because I got a feeling it'll be backdated and that more on that later. And I just thought it was better produced than prior album
Oh,
work.
Okay.
I think
absolutely.
this it had better sound quality, so it was nice to not hear a rehash, or not a rehash, but a, well, let's resurrect some songs we never put out there. Maybe there was a
Right.
reason why you didn't, right? So,
Yeah.
all right. So yeah, I thought it was really good. I love that boogie woogie kind of thing going on. I'm a
Yeah.
sucker for it. Um, so yeah, definitely worthy canned heat. If this is the final record of new material, then they did fantastically well for their place in the music multiverse. All right, let's move on to guitar underappreciated legend Mark Knopfler.
Yep.
This is One Deep River, new album that is obviously continual wheelhouse of the man who has his own signature sound.
Mhm.
Signature sound, think Jeff Beck. Not in the scope of Jeff Beck, but in the scope of Mark Knopfler. There's no one doing Mark Knopfler.
That's correct.
Nobody. When he plays a guitar and he sings, it's it. Whether it's Dire Straits in the past or here today, he is a unique presence. And the way his guitar fingers flow, it is a work of art. Now, this work of art, in my opinion, is being deeply rooted, deep in
Mhm.
his history of his life and times of around him in London or England or wherever he, wherever he was from, he is
Yorkshire.
from. Yorkshire. Okay, so it's all about pudding. So, uh,
Proof is in the pudding.
yes, I feel like I'm there. I love the story. It has a Celtic kind of feel to it, a
Mhm.
little bit of jazz here and there, but that comes from his voice more than a top hat thing or anything. But damn it, his smooth flow of guitar and that signature sound makes it so right on par with what he's done since he's been a solo artist. So this is right in there in all the catalog. But let's go to Deb, get hers, and we'll go to the Grateful Dude and see what he's got.
Okay, well, the reason I know where he's from is because he actually had a job as a writer for the Yorkshire Evening Post in the early 60s and 70s.
More pudding.
Um, yep. Um, and I know this isn't a Dire Straits album, but that's kind of how we associate our first knowledge about him. And Dire Straits was the first band to sell 1 million copies on the new format called a CD.
CD.
And then Money for Nothing was the first video on air on the European version of MTV.
Oh,
So, yeah. Uh his unique finger picking. I mean, there is no mistaking who that is. And I think it's maybe the third measure of the first song that he starts to play, and it's Mark Knopfler. It just is the just there's when he gets to the end of a phrase, he does this really subtle vibration, this vibe like a vibrato type thing
yeah.
that kind of trails off. And I don't know anybody else that does that I would know it's famous. I'm sure somebody's tried to copy it, but it won't come out the same. Um, the vocals on this compared to Dire Straits, I think this is a more soothing version of him. I felt like it was more storytelling. I didn't feel like it was as like in your face type music. Um, until Scavenger's Yard, that was a mood switch right there. A little edgier, and you went, "Oh,
Mhm.
that's what I know." And then the title track, One Deep River, just beautiful. It is a
Yeah.
beautiful song. So, Loved it. I have a big smiley face on my notes.
Big smiley face. And let's go to the next big smiley face. Grateful Dude.
Well, I got some stories with this man. So, I've seen Dire Straits about 7 times. And sometime, I think it was in like 79 or 80, I can't remember exactly. I went and saw a concert of Dire Straits at the Forum, and me and my posse went out, did a couple bars, and decided to go to a famous place off of La Brea, which is called Pink's. It's a very, very famous hot dog place. I mean, super famous. Anyway, so we get there, and there's a crowd of people around, and I push in the crowd to see what's going on. And there's Mark Knopfler sitting on a bench playing the guitar just by himself.
Shut the front
While
door.
eating a weenie.
Yeah,
No? All right.
he was eating.
He was
weenies
picking
and
with the
playing
weenie.
guitar.
That's amazing.
Yeah, this guy is great. Okay, I've always liked him. I've always been a fan of Dire Straits. Me and Mark have different opinions on Dire Straits, but that's a different story and a different show. But his new album, I liked it. I really, really liked it. I thought it was interesting, intriguing. The vocals weren't there. It just didn't do it for me. But his guitar was there. The songs I found refreshing. They're not Dire Straits at all. He's gone off in a different tangent, which is good, because why copy something you've done in the past? It's just not good. No,
He's
I really like this album. I've only listened to it once, but I plan to listen to it a few more times, and so I can, understand more where he's going. But no, I really liked the album. I really enjoyed it. As I said, Knopfler has always been, close to my heart. So I hope they have more stories.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, there's the song Janine.
We have to say so long to our little town of the past. Janine, my heart goes out to you. I know you've been trying, I've been trying to.
And it's what is it? Roughnecks and truck drivers and pipeliners and engineers, right? He's the layman discussion and the seediness that seems to sneak its way into this album. I think there's the thing about gambling or boxing too in this. So definitely of its time. It's not hearkening to now, it's hearkening to the past, more so than the future, but there are subtleties and ties to it. Definitely still, again, a consistent piece in the recent catalog of Mr. Knopfler.
Good job, Mark.
So let's go off the reservation. Let's go to Houston, Texas for a desert jazz rock band. Well, more rock maybe than jazz or slow. This is different for them, but this is Khruangbin, and this is Alla Sallah, which to me is the lowest key delivery of the albums of theirs. As a matter of fact, they were on one of my greatest albums of the year in one of the years prior. I didn't look back to see which one, but at least 2019 or earlier, might have been their solo debut or their debut. It's a little more stark than I remember, but it's a return to themselves because they've been doing stuff with other artists, and that changes the way you sound, the way you interact and stuff. But not that those are bad albums, but they're interesting nonetheless. And that desert feel is there, like the Hermano Gutierrez and Calexico kind of style is there. So I brought in the panelists to do this to see what their opinions are of this band and this particular album. So start with the dude.
Well, unfortunately, I only listened to one of their songs. I just ran out of time. My best bud, my taskmaster, gave me too many songs because we're supposed to be a show a couple nights ago, which never happened for culinary reasons, and so I got one song on it. I thought the song was good. It was their first song on the album, but
Yeah.
I got no fun. So I really are you gonna pass this one to Deb because I really don't have too much constructive to say because I don't know enough.
Okay, I
No,
got
no
stuff.
problem.
Okay.
I got stuff.
Um, they were so popular and distinct. What I read was that there's like this subgenre that's now called, I can't pronounce their name. What is the name of the band?
Krangbin.
Krangbin Vibes.
Krangbin.
Krangbin Vibes is
Krangbin
something
vibes.
that's
I
their
like it.
subgenre. And you know, they've got that fusion jazz feel. I heard it a lot in their songs. Female, her last name is, or her name is Ochea or something like that. I don't remember her name.
Yeah.
Um, but she hasn't changed the strings on her bass since 2010. And I think if something happens with those strings, she might not be making any more music because that seems like some kind of omen if they break. The name of the band it's a Thai word meaning airplane.
Mhm.
I usually don't like albums that don't have a lot of lyrics. They only had that I remember that I distinctly remember their second song had lyrics, but it was almost like the vocals were just laying underneath the instrumentation. It was more like whispers on the wind. Like you really had to go like when you're standing outside and you go, did somebody just say something to me? That's how it felt. And it was cool. I liked it. I thought, oh, they threw that one in. And then the unfortunate part about it was I kept waiting for that to happen again. And I don't recall if any of their other songs had lyrics that caught my ear anyway.
No,
So
it was an agitating experience at first because if I'm not mistaken, two of the songs that right within each other have that there's something being whispered or gargled or I had to stop my car, the radio, I turn it off and go, what was that?
is that something
That
behind you? Yes,
Yeah,
I
and
felt
I
like
was
something
like, I'm like,
behind me.
what's my car doing? Is there some gargling going on? What's this? And I'm like, okay, it is in the record. And then am I
Yeah,
supposed to like? I don't have the equalizer to make modifications to listen to the underscore of her telling me that
right.
the devil's coming for me on Friday the 17th. So and I should worship the desert devil. I don't know, but anyway, um,
So that was my
they
take
are
on it
they are a unique band
for
in all
sure.
this. I every time they have a record, I'm going, oh, I can't wait. This one took me a little bit like, well, it's kind of
Hmm.
level. It
Meh.
didn't their first record, the album I would suggest everybody would be Con Conjado El Mundo.
Okay.
So Conjado El Mundo. That
Okay.
record from 2018 was in my either number one or number two of the year in
Oh,
2018.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
the fantastic record. And I think if you listen to that, you'll kind of get an appreciation of why I say where it's a little bit more
Got
subdued
it.
and not as entangled and
Yeah. I didn't have a benchmark. I didn't know
didn't have
this
an
was it.
edge. It doesn't have the edge that has to it. So
Got it.
anyway, good. All right. So remember I said we get back to this whole idea of
Yeah. Yeah.
should you rehash what you've done? Are you doing it again? Well, here comes Blue Oyster Cult and their final record
Supposedly.
called Ghost Stories. Unlike Canned Heat, they decided not to make new music. They decided to go back and go, yeah, let's grab one of this and some of that and this and that. And I'm gonna stop and let the Grateful Dude chime in on ghost stories.
Okay, Ghost Story. Good album. Is it Blue Oyster Cult? Yep. It's just I almost have to say the same thing I did with Canned Heat. They're just bringing up the past. It's I found the album was okay. I did not find it its best works by any means. I would probably make it their third or fourth best album. And
Oh, over all those years? Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It's good. It's not great. Okay. I really enjoyed most of the songs, but it's they didn't change up enough. I would think after all these years of having an album, I think it's been 16 years or something since they produced an album, and it just wasn't new enough for me. Did I like the album? Absolutely. There's some songs in it that I just thought were crazy good, but I was overall disappointed. Having seen the band, having listened to the band at countless parties many, many, many moons ago, when I had hair, it just didn't do it for me. I was very disappointed in that direction. It just really didn't make the grade. And since I know the band really well, I'm more interested, Mark, to hear your take on it.
Well, I'm going to, but I'm going to let Deb go next
Okay.
because
Well, I did agree with Grateful Dude on Canned Heat, but I don't agree with him on this album at all. First of all, they actually their first band was called Soft White Underbelly,
yeah.
which was Winston Churchill's phrase to describe Italy in World War II. And I thought that's kind of like somebody's a little bit intellectual in this band. Blue
True.
Oyster Cult comes from a menu item somebody saw at a restaurant as that's where they got Blue Oyster Cult, supposedly, from what I read. I don't know if there's gonna be fact checkers here again, but you never know with me.
Right.
So getting to the album, I just wish there was more cowbell. That's what I wished. And it was not giving it to me. The vocals were terrible. I didn't find anything about this album reminiscent of the band that I liked in the early days. Not that I thought they weren't a band I followed or had to have all of their, catalog or whatever, but it just, and I kind of, I'm like, why are they, okay. They covered, We Got to Get Out of This Place. That's the Animals, right? Eric Burden. Don't do
Yep.
that. Leave that song alone. Leave that song alone. Leave that. And then when they did If I Fell, don't cover a Beatles song unless you're going to make it so different that we go, oh, I think I know that song, but this is so cool. I mean, don't. And then I kind of laughed because, Mark, this one song, I went, he's going to hate this Gun, because it reminded me of Who, Tommy.
We all know a man needs protection.
Pipe. But in a bad way, because I did like Tommy. You didn't like Tommy. So this was
It's overplayed.
I
kinda.
know. But I'm sorry, dude, but this is why we like to have controversy on this show. We can't all like the same thing.
And I absolutely totally disagree with you on this one. Probably more than I ever had. First of all, I thought that Gone was great. I really enjoyed that whole thing. I don't think I don't think they had the same vocals they did. Remember, these guys are not young spring chickens anymore. But and I thought we gotta get out of this place was good. I enjoyed the song. I recognize it and I liked it. And you know what? I think it was just a completely different take on the Animals version. Um, uh,
It might
don't
have been
count.
good if the guy could sing. No, it was, I just thought the vocals were terrible. I'm just saying. You
Well,
can't change my mind, dude.
I'm not going to try to. And I didn't think maybe you had a couple extra cups of red wine or something, you know?
Oh, no, not yet. Not yet. Not yet.
No, I meant when
So-
you were listening to them. So
Oh,
So
okay.
so 40
Got it.
years. 40 years. This band is strange to me. Okay? There are people that believe this band is the most underrated band in the history of music. There are people that put them up there with the Rolling Stones, Deep Purple. They celebrate nearly every record like it's. And I have been trying, like Jethro Tull, to find a position on this band. Are they progressive rock? I don't know. I don't think so. It just seems like rock to me. Classic rock. I mean, when you have cowbell in your music, progression is not your strong point. Okay? Let's just make that clear. It's fun to have cowbell. Do I need a whole lot of it? I don't think so. I don't need a whole lot of flute either, but they don't, you know. So 40 years, and these are the scraps they decided on, right? If this is all they had, well, then that's all they had. This should have been whatever albums they were associated with. I think from 78 to like 1980, they sound dated in their making. They don't, like, when I put it on, I went, wait a minute, this is not new. This was done, obviously reproduced to some degree. Maybe I don't know the whole production schemeology of it all, but I would say that was the problem I had, was like, if this is supposedly your last album, I needed a byline or something that said, well, technically our last album was our last album. This is just some of the stuff that we've accumulated over, because I would have passed. I would have passed.
Look
Because
at dude's face.
in their catalog, if you picked up their greatest hits, you're probably in the right position, right? I don't go deep into their catalog. I have Secret Treasures and all those, like, in that realm, like those four in that 78 to 80 something. I'm trying to think what the dates are.
I don't know.
Secret Treasures 74. Secret Treaties, not Secret Treasures, dear. Secret Treaties in 74. I got Agents
Yeah.
of Fortune in 76. Spectres in 77. I don't know if I have
Wait
Tyranny
up.
of Mutants, but that's like that wheelhouse. But their last album, The Symbol Remains, from 2020. I remember listening to that, and that was I think that was the final new material that was going on there. But I don't quote me on it. But that had better. I just, damn, man.
Mark, you've never really liked the band very much. We've had
I
this
like
conversation.
certain parts. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
don't understand the high esteem that they get, and they're still around, and that's stunning to me.
All I
Or
can
where
say
other people-
is, all I can say, see them in concert once, and that might just,
That is the truth.
It's
Absolute truth.
A lot of people think that
Yeah.
the Grateful Dead is just a bunch of garbage, but see them in concert once, and it completely changes you. I've
Yeah.
seen them in concert. And the thing is, I think where we're going, why there's so much separation between you and me, is not only have I seen them in concert, but I've always liked them. They came out and they had major amount of airplay in 74 and 75. There's a lot of
Mhm.
airplay on them.
Oh,
And
great riffs and setups
Oh,
and
absolutely.
melody. You know, Don't Fear the Reaper. I mean, come on. I mean, it's
Yeah.
yeah. They had a touch, and I think everybody from that past is still trying to believe they still have that touch.
Yeah.
And that's like saying Sting still has that touch, and I would love to say that, but no.
he lost his touch.
Yeah, but I love. Don't get me wrong, I love Sting, but I can tell you that next album that's coming, if it's coming, I don't know. I'm not enthused, but I'll try. But anyway, So the Blue Oyster Cult, if you are a fan of Blue Oyster Cult, there is no way you're not gonna love that they did this and that. You might not like the cover. There's a couple of covers, and they don't do anything tremendous, and you would have thought maybe they would have done something tremendous. But then again, what era was it done in? I didn't check. But
Right.
78 to 70 something to 80 something. This is mostly where this lies, I guess.
Got it.
All right, well, that's okay. That's why we do the show, and you can make up
Yeah.
your own detail, right? So
Yeah.
finally, none of our wheelhouses, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go completely vegan on this one. No, that's the
Nope.
band Vegan, VEGYN, in case you decide to go looking for it. The Road to Hell is Paved with Good Intentions. Fabulous title. So I said, let's do that album.
Yeah.
Here we are with the DJ music and two-dimensional beat and drive. And it kind of has this laid back, listen kind of feel, but more lush ambient. And of course, the scratching gets in there, of course. You got to have your scratches.
Yeah.
My final statement on this before I turn it over to everybody else is I felt like it was that upper deck club that they are not going to let me into when they take a look at me in my tweed jacket and my slacks and my sneakers. They're going to go, you see that club over there with the cobwebs? That's your club, brother. Go over there. But I honestly, I thought the music was somewhat engaging. It wasn't as repetitive as I expected it to be. And they did throw in some speaking, looping that was somewhat engaging. I'm trying to think of one of the lyrical lines and I lost it, but they tried to poke and give you a little flavor here and there. And they got artists coming in and out.
Yeah.
Grateful Dude.
Okay, this to me is electronica elevator music. This is the kind of music you're forced to listen to when you're going in a elevator that has 395 floors. Okay. It's very bizarre, but it's well done and well produced. Okay. The production quality is very good. Joseph Winger Thornley, known professionally as Vegan. He's a music producer, a DJ, a graphic designer, everything rolled into one. I listened to this record 3 times. The last time was 20 minutes before we went on air here. I liked the album to a certain extent. I don't think I could listen to it many times unless I was doing mindless errands. It's
like folding laundry. Is that a mindless errand?
Yeah, folding laundry, curling my hair, those kind of things. But it's really hard to describe this album. You got all the electronic tricks, the scratching and the looping and all that kind of stuff there. What saves this album is the production quality. It was done really, really well. I listened to this with headphones on so I could hear all the nuances. I think they had 290 tracks going because it was coming from everywhere.
Oh, is that my cat breathing in the background? Shit, turn that one out.
Exactly. Well, did you notice the police siren?
Yes, I did. I did hear the police siren. Yeah. Interesting done album. Is it in my wheelhouse? No, I don't think it's in anybody's wheelhouse. Okay, this is so far left. This is maybe this thing's so far left field. Okay, it takes you 3-hour cab ride to get to it.
Yeah, and we have a lot of those albums that we review that we can appreciate them, but maybe it's just not for us. So, you stole a little bit of my trivia on the lead on Joseph Winger Thornley, but he also worked on like Frank Ocean's festivals and stuff. So I'm really not surprised that the production value of this was up there. He knows what he's doing in that sense, obviously. But vegan, he chose that name because it's inspired by the commitment it takes to be a vegan.
Yeah,
Not that he is
be
a vegan.
committed.
Yeah, he committed to this band. And there's a lot of guest artists on it that I think kind of enhance what he's trying to do. I don't know them. I if I Googled them, it might, and I didn't get that far with it. I didn't have time. Some of the name of the songs kind of go along with the road to hell is, it kind of makes sense. It's very ethereal. Like I kind of get this out of body experience with some of the things that he's trying to do. And I wouldn't take it as far as I was trapped on an elevator when I was listening to it 292 floors, but I understand what your analogy meant. Because I definitely and doing tasks, if I was listening to this would be a great album while I'm cooking, where I'm not real. It just to kind of there was nothing agitating about it. It was,
Right.
it just was it was soothing without me really having to think about it too much. But obviously I was trying to think about it because I'm on the show. The one song that stood out to me was Unlucky for Some. It was very ominous and it almost had like somebody weeping. And I'm like, it's crying on this thing. It was just this, it was kind of sad.
Bad way to end the record.
Yeah.
Obviously, because I think he in hell, right?
Yes. Yes. The road
I
to
guess that's
hell.
how I was trying to find the path.
Like the
right?
progression. Me
Yeah, the
too. I
progression.
tried
I
that
guess that's
too.
why that was the ending, right? Because I
Yeah.
might have
Almost
picked
like
something
going through
else.
purgatory and getting there,
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure. So um I don't have as strong of an opinion as the dude does, but very listenable and yes, well produced for sure.
So he's a graphic designer.
I know.
He must be heavily into space because the album cover has hardly anything going on and things are splotched in a spacing kind of
Yes.
quadrant. And yeah, I was like, if you're a graphic designer, shouldn't this have like melted my mind? The path to hell should have been like very obvious to me. All
Yeah.
right.
Dante's
And good
Inferno.
intentions were bleeding, maybe. I don't know. But or stress test. There should have been some sort of heart pressure thing going on. Like the idea of me getting to this show in time after writing the articles. Stress test, absolutely. Right? So yeah, it's well produced though, and he knows what he's doing. The guests, there's something to that we don't know, that we don't, they're not guests that we would know. But if I
Right.
had Jeff Young on here, he'd probably say, "Oh, that's the guy from blah blah blah," and that's
Correct.
that's the person who does the weeping in other people's albums. So
He's the weeper.
yeah. What is your? I'm professional weeper. But going back to that, one of these has harper. They play the harp, so you're a harper.
Oh, yeah.
Do they say? Does the producer go, "Hey, stop harping"?
Don't harp on that.
So, so what were your takeaways? What did you think of these albums? Let us know in the comments. If you didn't, go listen to them and then give us the comments back. I mean, maybe we're wrong on this entire Blue Oyster Cult thing, and Jeff has got it down pat, and I'm just a guy who hates Blue Oyster Cult. Although I just don't, I don't
Like
bathe
'em.
in it. I don't want to
They're
come out
not your
blue.
thing.
And eating oysters are dangerous. So
Yum.
are you gonna join us next weekend? Because we're gonna go into some dark matter.
Ooh.
Check us out on beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We got artists and bands and all kinds of albums we talk about.
Repeat.
I wanna thank my panelists for joining me today, and hope to see them again next week. Join us tomorrow. I think I'm talking about Ian Brown on Unknown Sundays. If you'd like to get on that, Ian Brown is a music legend in England.
Okay.
But more on that tomorrow. Go Beyond Your Radio with us, a real music appreciation channel. Until tomorrow and every other day, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Happy listening.
Bye.